Hi there, it's Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today, and hopefully you can hear I am beginning to get a lot better. I've still got a little croak, but not too bad. Anyway, welcome to a new week. I have been asking people whether they want me to feature particular stamp sets. Not that I have all of them, so if I don't have it, I can't feature it. However, one of the sets that I was asked to feature was the Forever Blossoms set. Now, I've got it as a bundle, or I would have it as a bundle if I brought the bundle over. So there are lots of dies in the bundle, in the die set that go with the bundle. So we've got images that you can stamp and cut out, but we've also got additional images. I'm just using this one die because I'm actually only using one stamp on the front of my card, and it's the large stamp. Now, I'm going to be very honest, I want this all moved down. So for my version I do today, I'm going to move everything down a bit because it's all a bit top heavy for me. So I'm going to move it all down and just see if that makes it sit nicer for me. And of course I have stamped on the inside as well. So let me show you how this is made. Do remember that one of the ways of you saying thank you for me making the videos is that if you're in the UK, you can of course shop with me, which is always a plus in my life because that's how I continue to bring these videos to you. So I have got a literal scrap of Whisper White cardstock here, Sahara Sand ink, because I want this to be an almost no line stamp, almost but not quite. I just want it to be outline to be sort of there but not. So I've inked up with Sahara Sand, hold the ink to the paper and bring up, and you get a nice soft image which will actually dry softer, and then we can colour. I've only got 3 of my stamping blends out, the Petal Pink Duo, or Combo I think we call them, and the light Old Olive. There actually isn't a green in the suite. The only colours that are in the suite are Pool Party and Petal Pink. Everything else is what I would call and Cherry Cobbler. Everything else is what I would call a neutral, so is white and black. The colouring is really easy. And all I'm going to do is take my dark Petal Pink, and where there's shading, I am going to add some dark Petal Pink. And the shading is there, so it's really easy. And I'm even going to be rash and do, quite a lot of my colouring with the dark before I go back in with the other colour, with the light version. So I'm not going to colour the whole thing, don't stress. I do live in the world of Blue Peter. So we do a bit of, here's one I prepared earlier. Actually, I want the thick end. So with the thick end, I'm just going to blend that out and also colour in. It doesn't actually matter if you don't colour in completely, because I'm thinking of this as cherry blossom, something like that, and it quite often has white in it as well. So that's always good to know. So if you do happen to miss a bit, don't worry too much. It's not a major issue. So that's how I'm going to colour my flowers. For the leaves, all I'm going to do is with the light Old Olive is colour them in. I'm not going to bother with shading because the shading is actually there in the stamp. So particularly as we haven't got, we don't want to go too dark with this. Soft sea foam would be an option, but I think that's too light. And then I'm just picking out the stalks. So, and now when you're going on the buds, do remember that you've got little bits of green on there as well. And that's all I'm going to be doing. So let me find where I have buried the one I've already done. There it is. Okay, so this is the one I've already done. And as you can see, if I bring this back in, the Sahara sand kind of blends back in as everything dries, so it becomes a much softer finish. I've got a piece of the designer series paper. I love this paper. It is just so pretty. I'm on my, I think it's second, but it may be my third pack. And it's foiled and it's just gorgeous. So let me just fan this out for you. So you can go bold. You can have a bit of foiling. You can have lots of foiling. There's travel icons, great for scrapbooking, particularly if you happen to be going to Paris. And this script is just divine. And then the B-sides are what I would generally call solids. So they're not plain, but they are something that would act as a solid. So really pretty, really lovely. So this is the one that I'm choosing today. I've cut this at my usual smaller size mat, so 3 3/4 by 5.5. Don't worry about measurements. They will be on my website, which is linked below. If you just go to the associated blog post, that's all you need. So if I just add some snail to the outside of my designer series paper, and just an extra little bit there because I was a bit close to the edge. And actually, here's the thing, I cleaned, in inverted commas, cleaned my stamp because I was moving it so that it was exactly straight on the block, and I stamped it in the middle of this mat. It's fine because it's covered up. Right, I have got the second from largest layering oval, and I've die cut it in champagne foil and then run it through the beautiful matching embossing folder. I love these 3D embossing folders. Do remember that the 3D embossing folders, the current ones, you need the blue mat, so, or plate, so I mark them with a blue splodge. So this I'm going to have not quite so high up this time, so I'm going to have it over to the side, but I'm going to have it slightly further down, so probably about there. And then I'm just going to have the flowers tucking round it. So let me grab some liquid adhesive. I do like liquid adhesive for embossing because you can make sure that you get the raised bits, whereas if you're using snail, you could end up with, actually I want it the other way up, I want it so that this is pointing. You could end up with squashing the snail down, which is kind of, not squashing the snail, squashing the embossing down, which kind of defeats the object of embossing it in the first place. So pop that down. Then I'm going to run some of the Petal Pink ribbon, which is called Organdy Striped. This is in the annual catalogue. You could use the narrow Petal Pink that's with the suite, but I wanted the wider finish. So I'm just going to have a piece about that long and find my scissors. There they are. So just snip a piece off and then turn my piece over, and it's going to be about there. So add some snail to both sides, and then if I bring in one of my silicone mats, I can pop that down while I'm sticking this down and it won't stick, which is kind of useful for it to not stick to my grid paper. I just want this a little bit further down. That's super. Right, and I'm then going to tie a bow that will be just at the edge here. So let's, actually, no, I want it the other way around. Oh, it's sad, isn't it? So, don't need that much. That'll probably do. So, now I like to keep my ribbon attached to the reel until I've finished, because then if it goes wrong or it's the wrong length, I can have another go and you don't end up with sort of random bits of ribbon. So this is a way of saving some money. And we all like to save a bit of money. So I tie a rough bow first, and then I can adjust once I've got it sort of where I want it. There we go, that's looking better. Pull it tight. And then I can just snip. I think I went that way actually with the other ones, so let's go the same way. So 1 and 2. So there's my ribbon, and then I can just get this and tuck it in so it's nicely round. So I need my dimensionals. Oop. Pulled up the bottom as well as the... So this really is a very, very quick card to pull together. As you can see, I mean, I know I didn't do all of the colouring and I didn't show you the die cutting, but you get the point. This is not a complicated card to put together. If you've got all these lovely products, they all just work together. And Petal Pink is Petal Pink, whether it's the Petal Pink from the suite or the Petal Pink in the annual catalogue. That is the joy of Stampin' Up! Products, is the coordination is just second to none. So don't need such a large piece for there. So yeah, you can mix and match and it all just comes together, which is just brilliant. So the only other thing that I need to do is the stamping for the inside of the card. And then I can pop it all together and we are done. So do remember, if you don't already subscribe, that would be wonderful if you would do so. You can do that just by clicking the subscribe button, which has been at the bottom right hand corner of the screen through the whole video. I love it when people subscribe because it actually does make a huge difference to my analytics. The more people who subscribe, the more people will see the video in their timeline. So it really does help. So if you would care to subscribe, that would be wonderful. So let's just add this onto the front of the card. Just make sure that's well adhered as well. And of course, if you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. And as I've already said, you can go and have a look at the blog post that goes with this over on my website. I'm just going to bring in a scrap of paper to do my stamping. So I've got a Whisper White mat, and as I say, the dimensions will be on my website, and that is the associated blog post, it's called. If you go into the description bar below, you will see that. There's a shopping list, there are links to my online store, all that good stuff, although you can get to that also on my website. Now I've picked out Wishing You a Long Life Together Filled with Love and Promise. I think this would be a perfect card for a wedding, which is why I've gone for that. So all I need to do is turn that over, grab my snail and a piece of fluff apparently, and then we are done. Now do remember, if there are any stamp sets or sweets or products that you would like me to feature on my channel, I would be very, very pleased to hear from you. You can leave a comment below. So if you go below the description bar, you'll find somewhere to comment, and just let me know if you've got any questions. Also, that can go in the description bar. I do get round to answering the questions and comments eventually. I'm a bit behind at the moment because I've not been well. So there we go. So here's a question. Which do you prefer, the one that's further down or the one that's higher up? I know which one I do. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining me again today. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!